Fear and uncertainty in the U.S. stock market decreased on Monday as the United States sent a historic naval deterrent to the Strait of Hormuz, effectively telling the entire world, "You shall not pass." Oil prices dropped over 5% from their intraday high, the VIX fell, and the S&P 500 logged a bullish engulfing pattern. If the blockade was supposed to send the economy spiraling, somebody forgot to inform Wall Street. We'll highlight all of that, learn about an epic gangster gas move by a major U.S. airline, and discuss 3 trade ideas in rapid fire during today's market forecast. We've got a lot to go through, so put me on 2x speed and let's dive into the market forecast, starting with oil. As we begin to move into the after-hours session, you can see that oil prices continue to fall, which is good news for the S&P 500. In fact, if we go and look at the S&P 500, you can see that today we logged what's called a bullish engulfing pattern. We gapped down and we traded on up for the entire period, closing near the high of the session. This is generally good news for the bulls. Simultaneously, the fear index, or the VIX as it's called, also dropped today, getting down below 20, which is our magic number that we're looking at to have confidence in our bullish trades. But there's a couple things that I want to point out to you on the SPY. Recently, the market pulled back 9.13%, which is just shy of the conventional 10% benchmark of a corrective market cycle. So I got wondering, what has the market done historically when it's pulled back a long way, over 9%, but not quite made it to 10% yet? As usual, I've programmed an indicator, so you can do this study for yourself, but let me show you some of the instances. If we go back here to 2020, you can see that the market pulled back 9.8%, just shy of the conventional corrective territory, and then it continued on higher, not necessarily a concerning event. Let's go back even further. We've got to go all the way to 2012. Again, you can see the market pulled back, in this case, 9.69%, just shy of corrective territory, and then continued on higher. However, if we go back to 2007, you can see the market had a corrective phase. It did go all the way back up, placed a new high, and then we got into the 2008 market collapse. Now, to be clear, this was a totally different environment than we're in right now. This is where banks were beginning to shut down and the economy was spiraling, and we're actually seeing the opposite. We're dropping bombs over in the Middle East, which doesn't feel good to anybody on Wall Street, but the economy in America is generally strong. So I don't think that we're looking at a major sell-off coming out of our near correction territory. Let's go back and check one more. By the way, this is now logarithmic. And you can see we had another near correction pullback down to 9.28%. And then it shot on up higher, came back, shot on up higher again, and then continued on down. So what I'm trying to point out here is that there was not an imminent crash that occurred. And I think if we're looking at trades on the next 3 to 6 weeks level, we've got to maintain a bit of a bullish optimism about us. Now, speaking of optimism, we've got to go take a look at Delta Airlines. Delta just kicked off earnings season with a 10% beat on their profit, which is amazing. As the rest of the world's concerned about gas, Delta says, ain't no big thing. So I dug into it a little bit, and the most amazing gangster airline story has come out of it. Back in 2012, Delta got the idea that they would buy a refinery outside of Philadelphia. Cost them $150 million. And the idea was, instead of paying the middleman to make their jet fuel, they would just produce it themselves. They would own the supply chain, so to speak. Then they struck a deal with BP to swap any non-jet fuel byproducts for more jet fuel. Fast forward to today, jet fuel prices have skyrocketed because of the conflict in the Middle East. But instead of getting pummeled like other airlines, Delta's making bank. On last week's earnings call, they projected a $300 million benefit to them because of that refinery just in the upcoming quarter alone. That's more than twice what they even paid for the refinery in a single quarter. Turns out, owning a refinery was a pretty good idea. Now, I love Delta Airlines, and I'd be inclined just to buy some shares and say, good on you, Delta. This is not a particular setup or strategy that I have in my Rolodex, but if you got a couple bucks to throw at Delta, it may be fun to just participate in that story. But moving on to our real trade ideas, I'll start with the best one that we had. We mentioned this in Power Trader on Monday morning. Please, if you've not had a Power Trader trial, I encourage you to click the link in the description and come check it out, where you can get these trade ideas in real time. We placed this trade right at market open, and it skyrocketed throughout the day. It's gone quite a ways, but I think you can still get into this with one caveat. Maybe you might want to let this reset a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it came on down a little bit Tuesday morning and gave you a little bit of a cheaper entry. One of the reasons that I really like this stock is because it was in such a solid uptrend and seems to be generally disassociated from the events going on in the Middle East. Also, one of our little strategies here at TSU is the squeezer strategy. And this particular stock has been squeezing for 37 bars. And the saying in the squeezer strategy goes, the longer the squeeze, profit, yes, please. And this is a really long squeeze. What we're hoping is the pressure that's building up in this pressure cooker here, it's going to explode, and I'm optimistic it's going to be to the upside. So this could be a very exciting play. The last thing, and candidly, I discovered this after Power Trader, so you guys are hearing this for the first time. The weekly chart also has a Son of Bacci setup with stochastic crossing up through 20, which is also a bullish setup. Rivian Automotive looks like an exciting stock to participate in. Here's the numbers on that. We entered today at about $15.25, a soft target up at $19.12, but that may increase as we continue on. And then our stop down here at $13.45. Be careful with your position sizing. Be careful with your R sizing, because it is a volatile, unpredictable market, but all things look great for Rivian right now. McDonald's is another one. This keeps circling back around, and gosh darn it, this stock is going to go my direction one day or another here. We've talked about it in Power Trader. We've talked about it in the market forecast, and I'm still optimistic that McDonald's is going to go up. I think it's just waiting for those of you that haven't had the courage yet to jump into McDonald's. Stochastic has moved a little bit above 20, which is not an ideal entry anymore, but price action is still sitting right where we've been, right on that major support. It's a good opportunity to get into a trade. I've got a massive stop on this one, just being cautious with the market uncertainty, but I'm going to be getting out of this trade long before we get all the way down to $287. This is just effectively reducing our position sizing, being a little bit careful during uncertain times in the market. The last trade I want to show you guys is Tesla. This is another Son of Bacci trade. You can see stochastic below 20 here. We're bouncing right up off from a support. If we go back, we've got lots of support and resistance all the way through this $350, $352 price range. I'm optimistic that we'll find a bottom here, and especially with gas prices going up and potentially staying up with some of the infrastructure destruction, I think that people could be looking at buying Teslas. Just a little bit of common sense there. So this is a $352 entry. We got in just a little bit lower in Power Trader. $404 is the target, and $309 is the bottom. Let me know in the comment section what direction you think Rivian, McDonald's, and Tesla are going to go in. Do you agree and think they're going to go up, or perhaps you think they're going to crash? Also, drop your ticker symbols that you're looking at in the comments as well. And if I can, I'll take a look at those and do analysis on them in the next market forecast. Until then, blessings and favor on your trades.